Hello everybody, in this tutorial I'll be painting up an ultramarine. As usual, I start off with a base coat of Chaos Black through a spray can. Then through an airbrush I spray the entire model ultramarine blue. You can do this with a regular paintbrush as well. I just use the airbrush in this occasion to speed the process up a little bit. Once this layer is dry, I make a mixture of 1 part dark tone and 4 parts blue tone, and now I wash the entire model with it. This is to get all the shading in place in a nice, fast and easy way. I left the model to dry overnight, and the next day I took ultramarine blue again, and now I just block in all the armor panels. I make sure I leave the recesses alone so that the shading stays in place nicely. I then made a mixture of 4 parts ultramarine blue and 1 part glacier blue, and I applied an edge highlight to every edge on the model. This takes a bit of time, and later on I found that this layer didn't have a whole lot of effect, so you might want to skip this one. I'm showing it anyway to show you the entire process. On stuff like the shoulder pads, this layer also helps to cover up little mistakes in the shading with the ultramarine blue. I then added 2 parts white to the previous mixture, and I reinforced the edge highlight on the highest points, so it's a little bit more catching to the eyes. I then took metallic black and I blocked in all the metallic parts on the model. Then, using anthracite gray, I blocked in the bolter casing. This is then followed by a wash of Nuln oil over all the metallic parts and the bolter casing. Next, using gunmetal, I dry brush where possible, and a slight highlight on the metallic parts. On parts like these ribs and the smaller parts on the backpack and the bolter, I just use a brush and carefully paint it in with little amounts of paint. Then I took anthracite gray again and I apply a rough highlight to bolter casing. Next, using a mixture of 4 parts anthracite gray and 1 part white, I apply a highlight to the bolter casing. I make sure I leave some of the shading and the previous layers visible. Then by adding 1 part white to this mixture, I apply an edge highlight to the most visible edges on the bolt casing. After that I started working on the golden parts, and I started using old copper and just blocked in all the golden parts on the model. I then made a mixture of 1 part charred brown and 1 part earth, and I painted all the pouches on the back of the model in this color. Then using Airbrush Earthshade, I washed the pouches and I washed all the golden parts on the model. I then went back to the mixture of charred brown and earth in both a 1 part ratio, and I apply a highlight to the pouches. I make sure I leave the recesses alone so that I get a little bit of a transition, and there's a good amount of shading still visible. This is then followed by a highlight of pure earth. I just painted the edges and the most visible parts on the pouches. Next, using dwarven gold, I highlight all the golden parts. Again, I make sure I stay away from the recesses and leave a bit of the shading and the old copper visible. Once that has been applied, I use pure silver and I highlight both the metallic and the golden parts with it. On the golden parts, I apply this in really thin lines, just to create a little bit of a shine on the edges of the gold. On the metallic parts, I use the same method as with the gunmetal, only smaller areas, more towards the light. Once that has been applied, I use seraphim sepia, and I'm going to wash all the golden parts. This is mainly to give the gold that's already there a more warmer tone, and silver will turn into a sort of like gold-like color, but very bright. You keep your edge highlight on there, but now it's a golden tone. I wasn't happy with the edge highlights on the model, so I decided to make a new mixture of 1 part ultramarine blue and 2 parts white, and I reinforced all the edge highlights on the most visible parts of the model. Once that was done, I had the lenses in the helmet still to do. I started off with a coat of dark green, carefully painting in the lenses. Once it has been applied, I used Escorpena green and I painted over the dark green, but leaving the outer edges untouched. So basically you can see this as painting a line from the front to the back in the lens without painting the outer edges of the lens. Then using white, I paint in a small dot at the outer side of the lens towards the outside of the head or helmet. And this is then followed by a really thin coat of moon yellow. That's why I used the airbrush paint in this situation. It's a bit thinner than the regular variant, and it will give the white a little bit of a yellow glow. Once that's done, I applied the transfers and some dull coat, and after that some weathering powder to the bases. There's a couple of tutorials I'll link down below on how I apply those materials to the model. So I hope you liked this video. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe if you want to. Leave a comment if you want to. If you didn't like the video, let me know what you didn't like so I can work on that. And again, thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.